Alrighty. Sorry about that, everybody. If you're watching live, we are getting started a little bit late. I know you guys are basically used to this by now because there's always some reason why King Pilled is late starting.
Well,
Typically, it's
let me
my
tell you.
fault. Today, it was Cooper's fault, and then the computer's fault.
Yeah, while we're vamping here, let us know how the audio sounds. But I'll tell my story. So I get down here about 5 minutes to when we're gonna go live. Plenty of time for me to just get logged in, ready to rock. And I had just gotten home from work, so I hadn't checked my computer yet. And it decided that last night my laptop was gonna run an update without my consent. So I get here, and my computer's
You got
just sitting at
update raped.
yeah. I'm sitting there waiting at it's just at the login screen. I'm like, oh great, here we go. So I log in, and then it's got to take 15 minutes for Discord to update and Steam to update and my browser to update, and everything's got to update, and all my 300 tabs I had open all have to reload. So here we are.
First world problems to the max.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then of course, once you get in there, then there's a lag. We're sitting here. Oh no, there's a lag. We're talking over each other. So you go back out, and then you come back in, and then for whatever reason, all of a sudden my audio was apparently really loud, and or it wasn't that my audio was loud. It was that Cooper was picking up his audio in my headphones as like a talkback, and literally we haven't changed anything. This has never happened before. We haven't changed any of our settings, and all of a sudden he can hear himself through us. So I'm actually using my AirPods, but I felt weird without the headphones there now. Kind of felt like my brain was floating away from me, and I needed the headphones back there to keep my brain in. Because I got to use my brain today. We've got
some gremlins messing with our technology.
Yeah, it's
no, Ryan. I am not a 300 tabs person. That was an exaggeration. It was like 6 tabs.
I am a 300 tabs person. Much to my own chagrin. I need to get.
No, I have like 10 windows open. That's my problem. I don't have a bunch of tabs, but I have like 10 windows on different parts of my screen because I'm cool.
I as soon as I can and can justify it, I'm gonna get like 2 or 3 extra monitors here. I'm just gonna be surrounded by monitors. I'm gonna have like 2 or 3 extras because that's where I'm gonna put all my extra tabs. Just so they're because if they're there, then I'll remember about them. If they're not there, then I'll forget that they're there until I am too busy with other ones. Today's show is going to, I would imagine, probably provoke a lot of negative feedback. Our last couple episodes have proven this to us, and the thing about Cooper and I is that the more negative feedback you guys give us, the more we're going to be doing the stuff that you're giving us negative feedback about.
Yeah, there was one comment that was something along the lines of like, wow, 2 streams worth of cringe. I'm like, well, buddy, here you go. We got a third one.
Yeah, let's line up the third one because we're going to lean into it hard today. But before we get into that, I saw this and I had to highlight it. I haven't told you about this yet, Cooper, but I wanted to share it with you here. I've been thinking about you. So someone said, what would your homeschooling curriculum be? And this person is someone after your own heart. 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. playing in mud. Mm-hmm. Who are you, Cooper?
I'm the mud man.
Yes, Cooper is the mud man.
Don't listen to Xavier. He will tell you otherwise, but I'm the mud man.
Yeah, Xavier's full of shit.
That joke will make sense to you guys someday.
Yes.
It's a work in progress.
You just got the punchline. You're going to get the joke later on.
Yeah, probably 6 months from now. So buckle up. Sit tight.
Yeah. So, okay, 9 a.m. to 12, playing in mud. 12 to 1 p.m., Gamergate history. 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., Halo Reach class. And then 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., Hitler science. I saw that, and I appreciated that, and I needed to share it with the Mudman. Yeah. Then a second little thing that will begin to set the stage for what we're talking about here today. This is a really good guy to follow on Twitter. His name is Chris Corner, or Kerner, probably Chris Kerner. He's at MHP_guy on Twitter. And he's like a, RV and mobile home park investor. He's just kind of like a professional entrepreneur that likes to talk about business stuff. And he is constantly posting really clever business models that he's come across. One of the ones I think he posted about today was a guy who does kayak rentals. He lives in Hawaii, so he buys kayaks and rents them out and makes like $500 a week per kayak, just passively. He basically just has to do just like bookings and that sort of thing. So he always comes up with some really interesting things. So this guy, he has this video. We're going to watch this video in just a sec. But he says one person watches this and says, actually, it's not that simple because X, Y, or Z. Another person watches and thinks this guy is planting seeds of entrepreneurship into tens of millions of young minds. He's doing more for the future of America than 99% of everyone else. So look at this guy's hustle. This is pretty clever.
You got $10? Yeah? Let me put you on something real quick. This right here is a 4x4. You're gonna buy you a 4x4 and I'm gonna show you what to do with it to make a killing. When you get home, you're gonna get your speed square. And you're going to draw a straight line every half an inch all the way down the whole length of the board like this.
Half an inch.
Half an inch. Half an inch.
This is a good old boy.
Then you're left with a bunch of squares like this. Then get you a sander and you're going to go over all of them on both sides and on the edges and get them as smooth as you can. And then you're going to Google wooden drink coasters. And you're going to see that roughly average, they sell for about $20 a 4-pack. So that $10 12-foot 4x4 you bought, you can make 288 cuts out of that piece. And then with those 288, you put them in bundles of 4. Just like that, you got 72 bundles. And if you do 72 times 20 on average, that's $1,440 that you can make off of one $10 investment. There ain't no excuse for anybody to be broke.
This is the kind of guy I want to spend time around.
I like it.
Yeah. And I don't know if he's doing a bit or if he's actually the guy he's portraying himself as, but this guy is not this guy's not an autist. This guy's not a theory cell. This guy's politics are probably really whatever. Yeah.
This guy likes to grill.
Yes. These guys, this is civilization. These are the guys who are going to build America. This is what they're doing right now. They're actually tangibly creating wealth in the real world, building out network skills, expertise, customers, vendors. And they're creating something. They could have the cringiest politics in the world, but if they've got this sort of mentality, they're going to be successful regardless of the political system. The political system doesn't matter. This is what matters. You build something like this, and you get enough people building something like this, and then you can build your own political system. This is what the future is going to have to be. It's going to have to come out of people like this guy, who has this mentality. And I don't care if this is just a hustle for this guy. Like, I don't care if he's putting on this, he has some friend who he goes and he sits in their kind of rundown looking backyard and he sticks a dip in and he's like playing like he's a hillbilly, and he's going to go to his penthouse suite or whatever. It's still true. What he's telling you is still true. And it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be buying 4x4s and turning them into drink coasters. This is one idea. Would you have ever thought, hey, I'm going to go buy a 4x4 and turn it into wooden drink coasters and sell it on Etsy? I wouldn't have thought of that. But all the infrastructure is incredibly easy to set up to sell those kinds of things. You could go get, what is it, $1,400? So you get $1,400 out of each 4x4. So you could go get 20 of them at a time, spend $200, get 20 of them at a time, and basically support yourself just off of doing this. And let me tell you, there is a whole bunch of white women out there who want nothing more than to run up their husband's credit card buying wooden drink coasters. They are more than happy. These are the women who run the economy. If you can find something to sell to them, you will always be in business.
I know one, Matt.
Uh-huh. I do too. This is normal woman behavior. This is how women should behave. Her job is to beautify her nest, to make her nest feel homey, to have it be a safe, quiet place that's hers, that she has stamped with her identity.
Yeah.
She wants strong borders around that, and she wants to be able to create a nest and make little versions of you. So, if she wants to buy some frickin' wooden drink coasters, then she should buy some wooden drink coasters.
Yep.
And you should be a man for whom it doesn't matter if your wife wants to buy wooden drink coasters.
Dude, you should see my house. It's like, I see my, the woman I know really likes houseplants. That's her pet hobby. And tell you what, man, I think it stems from a primordial urge to return to the garden. Like regret on the female's part. Like this kind of blood memory. But my living room, dude, it's just, you're walking through a jungle. Every now and then we got to go on quarantine, and it's a big thing. Like you got to quarantine all the plants because one of them has mites on it or something. It's like a 4-day ordeal to get all the mites out of here. And I'm like, this is not my problem, but I'm glad you have something that keeps you busy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but what else are you going to do? You're building a home and you're living in that home. This is a woman's purpose, is to build a home and to live in it and to do things in it, to beautify it, to have maintaining that home be a full-time job.
Hey, TXR, are you a homosexual? Says this woman respecting arc is interesting.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, guys, but the King Pilled show is not the right-wing version of Grievance studies where we're just going to bitch about all the things we don't like all the time. So,
well,
we've already done that. I mean, we've talked about the Jews, and we talked about the blacks, and we talked about the women, and we did all our bitching, and I'm kind of tired of doing that now. I'm tired of being angry all the time. Are you guys, the boomers, are you guys tired of being angry all the time?
Right.
Not good for you.
Like, we got shit to build.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff to do. There's things to do. And sitting around just bitching about all of the people who aren't doing anything is... There's no difference. There's no difference between the people that just sit around bitching about all the people who aren't doing anything and the people they hate for not doing anything. They're all the same people. They're all doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that those people that they hate are the ones who are actually effective at getting what they want from that posture.
Brian Isaac. Yes, I indeed respect my wife. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Kyle, what kind of homo respects women?
Yeah.
Sounds gay to me, man.
Put him in a burqa. Just get out of here, bitch. You know?
Yeah. I wanted to share this other tweet here before we... I had a tweet that had a very interesting, provoked a very interesting bunch of responses. I want to talk about that. But before that, I wanted to touch on this. Our good buddy Rudyard here from the What If Alt His podcast. I like his way of using Twitter. He kind of could give a shit what anyone else thinks or what anyone else is thinking about. And he's just going to say what he thinks. He's just going to just words out the wazoo. This is my type of guy. He's just jamming on whatever wavelength he's on. And he's incredibly well read. You should go see his stuff. The way he produces his podcast drives me crazy because he does like video essays, but periodically in the middle of the video essay, he'll have a wall of text that looks like this, the way this tweet looks on the screen right now. And so it's content that's reserved for that wall of text that he's not actually talking about. So you have to pause the video and read the wall of text and then start over. So for me, like the majority of the content I consume is I'm just like walking around places and whatever. And so I'm just listening to it. So if I listen to his stuff, I don't get the full thing. Anyways, okay. So, so this is something he tweeted the other day. I think he's very. I like a lot of what he says here. She says, "I'm so tired of talking to Boomers or Gen X, and they'll say, you know, growing up was as hard for us as it was for you guys. We had Watergate, the Vietnam War, and the oil crisis." This is him again. He says, I had to mandatorily read 5 books on the Vietnam War in the school system and none on any other wars. If I have to hear about how Watergate was generationally traumatic, I'll die." So this is him talking. He says, "Sure, that stuff happened. You didn't have mass labor discrimination against your race, so you couldn't get hired at any good work, especially not promoted. 95% of new job positions at major corporations go to ethnic minorities. 80% of men in their young 20s weren't single. A third of men under 30 weren't virgins or sexless. You couldn't have your entire life destroyed for looking at a girl in the gym or hitting on your coworker or in a coffee shop. Rent wasn't 70% of your income, and affording a home was possible. Boomers in their 20s literally had 90% more spending power than Gen Z. You didn't have to deal with ritual humiliation as a white man in the education, work, and entertainment space. Your entire identity wasn't discriminated against in every cultural form. You didn't have to say you're evil for your skin tone to be accepted socially. You weren't allowed to not play outside alone as a kid due to helicopter parenting. Schools weren't ideological indoctrination. People outside and weren't glued to their screens. Mental health issues weren't rippling across the population where most young people have at least one psychological issue. 80% of people your age didn't suffer chronic loneliness or anxiety. Your governments weren't openly stating cultural suicide as their dominant goal. The elites hadn't decided that you would live in a pod, eat bugs, and own nothing. The major political parties hadn't questioned the last 2 elections. Half the states in the country hadn't questioned the central authority militarily. Most countries in the Western world still had freedom of speech and weren't jailing thousands of political dissidents. Making an edgy joke wouldn't send you to jail. There wasn't a question of what a man or woman was. The government didn't fund people's desires to change people's sex. Political pundits didn't say violence was the only logical solution. You used to be able to be friends with people of different political views. The reason I state all of this is that things aren't normal. We pretend they are, but things are not okay now. It happened slow enough that people cope they are. We are not in the same America as The Simpsons or John Hughes. We're in a cyberpunk dystopia combined with the 17th century. So the reason I wanted to share that is because I think he's exactly right. I think this is the way he's laid it out is it's thorough and it's compelling. It's an accurate presentation of the current state of things. And the people who are suffering from this reality, their grievances are legitimate. Our position isn't coming from a place of we just haven't accepted the black pills, or we are naive about the state of things. It's actually exactly the opposite. Because things are like this, then that's all the more pressure on men to step up. The civilization is in such a bad state that there is exceptional demand for men who will bear that responsibility, even if it's not theirs. All the time is being spent trying to figure out who's at fault, who's responsible. Is it this group? Is it this group? Let's trace back all the sequence of events. We can show these are actually the masterminds behind it all. Or no, actually we do this, and if you look at these fact patterns, then it's actually these people who are the masterminds behind it all. Yes, all of them. They are all the masterminds behind it all. Because they're all pursuing distorted incentive patterns. They're all engaging in this self-destructive spiraling loop of positive feedback. They're all playing their part in it. So the answer to this problem is not figure out our own way to engage in the same grievance process that they are. All of these people want to take control of the governing apparatus and weaponize it against their enemies out of resentment and a sense of victimhood. That's the spirit of liberalism. It manifests itself in various different structures and organizations and policy manuals, but that's the spirit that animates it.
Welcome, Jim Bob, people.
Hello, Jim Bobbers. We got 58 viewers, it says on YouTube right now, and 18 likes. Do us a favor, hit that like button. Thank you, those of you who are dropping in for the first time. And thank you to those of you who are not, who have been here before.
Thank you, Mr. Jim Bob.
Uh-huh. Thank you to Mr. Jim Bob. It's funny.
We should talk to him sometime. It's been a while.
Yes, we should. I've been watching this guy Pace Morby a lot recently, and I know Ryan Isaac, he said something earlier in the chat about Pace Morby. He said that he was talking about like how much value that he provides in the just the free stuff he puts out on YouTube. And it occurred to me recently as I've been just binging his content. I've listened to hours and hours and hours of it. And I was like, there's something about him that seems so familiar. There's just all of his little personality quirks and the way he talks and the way he reasons through things and everything. It reminds me of someone. And it hit me that it's Jim Bob. Jim Bob and Pace Morby, I would wager here, I'm gonna get my bougie white chick on. I would wager that they are the exact same Jungian cognitive type. And they actually there's a physical resemblance too, which is really interesting. If you study the Jungian cognition stuff, you will find the people who have begun tracking this stuff have demonstrated pretty clearly that there's strong physiognomic implications. Like people of the same cognitive type tend to look the same, have the same hair color, have the same sexual proclivities, have the same features, hair color, balding, all this sort of stuff. Anyways, I don't remember how we got off onto that. What were we talking about?
We were saying hello to the Jim Bobbers.
Oh yeah, the Jim Bobbers.
And you were talking about how everything actually is like all these things, all the gripes are true.
Oh yes. So yes, all of these gripes are true. This what if alt hiss tweet I just read, literally every one of these things is true. But here's the thing. If you suspend disbelief here for just a minute and just do a little exercise with me, where you imagine, just put yourself in the shoes of a business person, someone who has a particular market that they want to target with some type of solution that they have. You can think of this on the macro scale or on the micro scale or on the macro scale. They have something that they want to offer. This could be someone who has a podcast and they want to do a podcast and they want to get a particular audience and convey a particular message to them. That means they're in the position of selling themselves and looking for potential clients. And then this can go all the way up to a political organization. A political organization is going to have these same principles where you have to sell yourself to clients. This is the patron-client relationship is a reflection of this. So what we have here, the picture that Rudyard has laid out in his tweet, and for those of you from Jim Bob who just joined, go back 15 minutes or something in the podcast and just hit it on 2x speed and catch back up so you get the context. Every single one of these things, it took me like 3 minutes to read through this whole list of things. Every one of those is an opportunity. Every one of these is a situation where the supply of something is vastly distorted from the demand. And I think the thing you can reduce all of this down to, every single one of the demand, the suppliers of this demand are men. Men in some form or another. Every single one of these things is, if I was looking at this like doing a market analysis on it, I would say you have this problem, 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 this problem. The thing all of these have in common is an absence of strong men. And by strong men, I mean ethical, virtuous, industrious, visionary. These are strong men, not just like has political power. but is the type of person who generations move around. Every single one of these things that he's describing is a symptom of the absence of masculinity in a society. Now, you can debate and argue over whose fault it was that we got to this point, but the fact is, only men can get us out. Women cannot extract us from this situation. I mean, even granting all of the premises that we may not even grant, even if we grant all of your premises, it should be fairly obvious that there's no way that women could get us out of this. That means men are going to have to do it, which means men are going to have to accept responsibility for the problem, whether or not it's their responsibility. Which then means it is their responsibility. Because that's the definition of responsibility. Is the thing that you have to do that nobody else can do.
But Matt, DeFreak in the chat says, disagree. If women do not agree to change family law, nothing changes. Funny you say that, because we're going to We're not going to debate with women about this. Why are you wanting to debate with women about this? Why are you debating them? If you, as a man, find yourself in a position where you're debating with a woman, you've lost already. You should not have to debate them. So your premise has been rejected. So this is the tweet that I shared here. And I expected to get a little bit of, maybe a little bit of pushback. But the sheer din of the screeching, the absolute caterwauling in my mentions really blew me away. And it's funny, like this is sort of like hey, this is a thing that's kind of interesting to talk about. It seems like an interesting issue. Yeah, between our last stream and this tweet. I am not responsible for this tweet. And even my DMs are like, people are DMing me and screeching about it.
Yes.
Just by association.
This has highlighted to us that, there's much more here than we even were granting. This is a much bigger problem than even we recognized. Like, we knew these kinds of guys were out there with this sentiment, but the degree to which it's pervaded our little spaces, our little corners on the internet, it's further along than I realized.
Which is a double-edged sword. On one hand, I think it's really unhealthy. On the other hand, it's kind of cool because I like making fun of these guys, and I have plenty of people to make fun of.
yeah, you've got material for ages.
That's right.
So, for those who are listening, you'll have to. It's just I'm going to play a video here now. I saw some people when I posted this. This video is going around. A lot of people were talking about it, and somebody said that it was AI. And at first I was like, oh, there's someone's just memeing. They're like joking about it. And then I saw more and more people who were like, no, really, this is actually AI. And so I don't know if this is actually real or not. It doesn't really matter to me whether it is or not, because it's really just an illustration of the point I was trying to make. But so there's a video here of supposedly it's driving around Seattle streets, and it does look like Seattle. So, and it's a bunch of, shall we say, ladies of the night, just sort of strolling around in the streets, obviously looking for clientele. And I just said, I quote tweeted it. I didn't even think this was that controversial to say. I knew I would probably kind of get a little feathers rustled maybe, but I didn't think this was that controversial to say. I said, every single one of these women needs a husband. Soft, weak men led them to this point, and it'll take strong men to save them. What in this tweet would possibly provoke a bunch of raging responses? What's controversial about this, Cooper?
Well, don't you know, Matt, that women suck? and you know,
So if women suck, wouldn't it be better if they were the legal responsibility of a man rather than out wandering around on the streets? But how does this? And I'm saying the men who got them to this point were soft and weak. These are clearly not the wives and daughters of strong Christian men.
yeah, no kidding.
So if you take a reference to soft, weak men personally, now we found the problem. You recognize that you're soft and weak. And you see the situation these women are in as a judgment on you. So when we talk about it, it's what is it? You get the most flack when you're over the target. I think that's what happened here. Mm-hmm. So here's like some of the responses. Let's see here. Oh, here, I wanted to highlight this here. Shout out to Radlib, Stephen Carson at Radical Lib on Twitter. He posted this. He said, the Lord commanded Hosea to marry a whore, a quote, roasty. They had 3 children together, but then his wife left him for other men. Then the Lord told him to take her back, buying her back from a pimp, and remarry her. So this is the story of Hosea. You can go read it in Hosea. The Lord came to one of his prophets and said, go marry a prostitute. And he went and he married her. They made babies. She left him. He had to go basically pay off her pimp and buy her back and bring her back. And I think this happened multiple times. The purpose of this was to illustrate the relationship of Israel to Christ. This is us. We're the roasty.
Yep.
We're the ones, this is our behavior. That we go out and we slut around, and Christ marries us, brings us to him, and when we leave him and we go back out, he brings us back in again, and he keeps bringing us back in. This is the role of a man. Because we are icons of Christ. He is the example that we follow. This is the fullness of what it is. This is the fullness of masculinity. So, I lost my train of thought.
That's unfortunate.
Yes, we were at...
because I don't remember what you were saying.
We were at Hosea and his wife, and this is the role of a man. Now, what was interesting is a lot of the responses that we got some of them in the chat during the show yesterday, but Monday, yeah. But also in the replies afterwards, and then in the responses to this tweet. I mean, I don't even want to show some of them, just because you can go look at them yourself. Just go to my Twitter and at Real King Pilled, and you can go down and read through them if you'd like. But some of the stuff is just like, do you kiss your mother with that mouth? How do you possibly feel justified in talking about a human being like that? Because the real irony here is, I know what you fucking guys have been doing.
Yep.
You want to talk about ran through? I know what your browser history, if not now, I know what it has looked like.
Yep.
You are just as ran through as all of these quote-unquote roasties. You're just ran through in a way that gratified the thing you desired. You desired the stimulation of a woman, and you gratified that artificially. She desired the protection of a man, and she gratified that desire emotionally and physically. But you're the same people. The funny thing, Cooper and I were talking about this earlier. So you guys have all seen these videos of So one of the guys that was just going on and on with me, I just ignored him after a while. He was like, well, they all want 6-foot millionaires. And I was like, I don't recall indicating that I care what they want. Yes, every woman wants a 6-foot millionaire. Every woman wants Prince Charming.
Yeah, like because just every
Did you
guy
just
wants
encounter hypergamy? Did someone just define hypergamy for you? You didn't just intuitively understand this?
Yeah, and every guy, wants a fucking 9 or 10 virgin trad wife, Aryan, blue hair, whatever.
Right.
Maybe dark hair if that's more your thing. That's more my
Right, yeah.
But
The
point
true
still stands.
aristocratic taste.
That's right.
But so you got these guys who are now, okay. I want to make it clear. The posture that we're taking here are the where we're coming from is like tough love. You guys have been your minds have been poisoned by Gynocratic.
Yeah.
The talking heads that you've been listening to have been teaching you about real things, real phenomena, but then they've been using it to black pill you and to make you impotent.
Yeah.
They're sucking out your vril energy. That's what they're parasitic. They survive on that. All of this stuff is true. If you're a guy who is 5'6" and 27 and awkward and you don't know how to talk to women and you're making 40 grand a year, yeah, you are a low value man.
Yeah, and you got to think it's just kind of implicit in the statement, like those guys who all women ever want is a 6-foot millionaire, as if they're broken and defective for wanting a 6-foot millionaire,
right?
And not the 5'4", guy who makes 40 grand a year. It's like,
so when you have this
main character, dude.
When you have the you get the fat chick, the guy who's like going down the streets on TikTok or whatever, and he's like interviewing people, and you get the big fat chick who's in like a 2-piece with her big old fat gunt hanging out and
big old gunt.
And she's like, oh yeah, like you have to make at least 300 grand a month if you're going to date me, and you need to buy me all my bags and my makeup and take me on vacations and do all this stuff with me. And the guys look at her and rightfully are like, you fat, disgusting pig. How could you possibly be so entitled?
Yeah,
but you know what?
I want the 8-foot tall millionaire with the 34-inch dick and like works out and can pick me up. And
of course, that's what she wants. But you know what? She's gonna get it because there's men who will pay for it.
Yep.
So you, on the flip side, the low value man, you have to just accept the fact that right now, in your current state, you are a low value man. There's something you can do about that. You could be a low value man and make yourself a high value man. But if you're a low value man, and you're sitting here like angry at women because they're not providing you your virgin trad wife ideal, 20-year-old princess who just wants to like cook you food all day. You are the fat black woman on TikTok. You're just the male version of that.
Yep.
I'm not doing anything to make myself desirable. Women ought to just desire me because I exist. And the fact that they desire things they find desirable makes them subhuman.
Yeah, you're like the dude in the meme who's standing in the corner, at the party. And it's like, they don't know that I'm fucking awesome or something.
I'll show you guys some of the let me see if I can find a couple of the particular ones. And then there's something else that I wanted to clarify.
It's also funny to see how people reacted to our last stream arguing with points we were not making.
Right. So yeah, that's what I was going to say. So there's this Mott and Bailey thing happening where, like I say, all of these active prostitutes need husbands. They need men to enter their life and take responsibility for them.
They need to
and
repent.
pull them out of that. And somehow this got, apparently the message that's being received here is you need to all go out and marry prostitutes. Which I want to ask you guys I want to ask you guys if you would have been hungry if you didn't eat breakfast yesterday morning. We're not saying go out and marry prostitutes.
I don't know how many times we said we're not saying that.
Yeah.
You know?
But I do get this. I get these responses that I couldn't find them right now here, but I got multiple responses that said almost the exact same thing. That said, these women don't deserve marriage at all. These women will never deserve marriage. They need to spend the rest of their lives in a monastery repenting of their sins.
Right.
Now, I don't necessarily think that's wrong. I think there's probably a lot of them that would probably be best for them. But I don't see these guys out there building monasteries for women.
Bingo.
I don't see them. I see them bitching about the fact that these women exist, but I don't see them going and recruiting women, putting together charitable organizations that are going to recruit these women and funnel them in through whatever, pay them, whatever, get them off the streets.
Like, okay, not even just talking about like prostitutes, because we really weren't talking about that. We barely talked about like prostitutes. Like, this is another example of the like,
yeah,
mental illness. Just people like they can't do counterfactuals. They can't like they just take what we're saying and they just run to like an extreme to be like, oh, well, what about this? Like, okay, dude, if you're gonna run to like exceptions, you're basically talking like a woman. You're gonna run to the exception.
Yes.
To try to debunk what we're talking about. Get out of here. Anyway. But we weren't even talking about like prostitutes. We're just talking about like, I don't know. We were talking about girls in like their 30s or something like that.
Yeah, girls
like
in their 30s who've
30s.
slept with 20 guys or 100 guys or 150 guys.
Not even that. 5 guys, 0 guys,
yeah.
Whatever. We were just talking about girls in their 30s or maybe, single moms. That's what we were talking about.
Yes. And the fact that you would equate them, that anyone would equate them when we talk about them, that they would then equate them with like literal actual prostitutes is telling, I think. Yeah, I just remembered one of the things I was trying to think of earlier.
Kyle says one black guy. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Who was the saint that you were telling me about? Saint, it was Valentinus?
Valentinus or something? Let me go.
Yeah.
I believe that is it. Kindness. Not Saint Valentine. Oh, something along those lines. Anyway,
what was his story? What was his story? So he, in the context of me saying these ladies of the night all need husbands, and these guys are saying, well, they all belong in monasteries. What was his technique that he used? His outreach program?
As I recall his story, he was like I'll look up his actual name, but he was I think he was a bishop or a priest or something like that, or a monk or something. But he would go work as a day laborer because that was the cost of soliciting the services of one of these ladies of the night, and he would take the money he earned for his labor that day, take it to them, give it to them, and basically buy an hour of their time to preach the gospel to them. And dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of them became wives and mothers and nuns as a result of his work.
So there's a model for you. Like, if this is something that you care enough about, that you see as such an existential problem, like DeFreak here says, marriage is legally suicide. We'll come back to that in just a minute here, because I was going to say something I shouldn't. Random username says, can we somehow build an app where people can rescue a prostitute, pay for relocation and drug testing, take a dowry to ensure that the man can afford her? Why not?
I don't know.
Sure. Like, this is See, the thing that would determine whether or not you could successfully solve this problem would be the extent to which you could generate demand for men willing to engage in to do this. Now, which would be better? To have weak, desperate, soft men who are, oh, this is the only chance of getting a woman. Like, do you think that those relationships are going to end in the most success? Or do you think that the success of this type of venture toward actually solving this thing that we agree is a problem would be for strong, grounded, stable, wealthy men to be the ones who marry these women?
Saint Vitalis of Gaza.
Okay, Saint Vitalis.
He's a pre-schism saint, so Catholics. He's your guy too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Colin Rush says that's the attitude of a male with poor mate selection capabilities. Yeah, so really, like, when if a guy complains about women, if they post that OkCupid graphic, like that 2015 OkCupid graphic or whatever, that just shows, like, yeah, hypergamy, then what you're telling me...
Yeah, they post that like it's some sort of nuke. Like they just won an argument. They're like, oh, okay.
What you're telling me is that you are a short, poor guy with a small penis. That's what you're advertising.
Yeah.
Yes. And that you're bothered about that. You're insecure about it. This is the energy that you're projecting. What about that do you think is going to make you remotely compelling to the creatures who exist to detect energy? Like this is what women traffic in. This is why they're all energy healers and Reiki. These are overwhelmingly female dominated. They're becoming more prolific among men because the men are being feminized. But this, like, bitter, resentful, hostile, grievance studies posture that's taking over young men is just going to be completely catastrophic. Because that mentality, if you have that mentality toward women, you're never going to be able to build a civilization.
Furthermore,
you can't build human civilizations without women.
Right, and
that's when you get pederasty.
How do I put this? Like, unfortunately, yes, women have they want their 6-foot millionaire, whatever. Because hypergamy. And you want your virgin trad wife or whatever. Both parties are going to have to get, their head out of the clouds and be a little more realistic and settle. That means that you're going to have to settle for some other guy's leftovers, as one of the commenters so eloquently put it. And then the price that the woman's going to have to pay is that she has to settle for you. That's a tall order there, bud.
Yes. That was the other comment that I got from people, that they need to make atone for their consequences, or they need consequences for their atonement. They need to atone for all the mistakes that they've made.
Yeah,
the atonement is that atonement is that they have to live with the shame of what they did, and they have to be married to you, a low value man.
Yeah,
and you've got to live up to that. This is the path that must be trodden by some men. And if you are one of those men, the only way that you're going to be successful is if you embrace that fact and start from there. Mitrak says, bro, you got to give young men a break. They have the highest growing self-deletion rate. We are giving them a break. That's the point. The reason why that rate is so high is because everybody is only selling them the black pills.
Yeah.
No one's telling them to grow a spine. No one's giving them anything to work with, anything to build toward. That's what men need. Meaning matters more for men than anyone else. Especially a man who's progressing from like late teens into his early mid-20s. These people need solutions. Not like hyper-emotionalized depictions of why they should be resentful and nihilistic. Because they already feel that way.
Yeah.
This is feminizing them. That's why they decide to end it. Because they're not being held to account as men. Men are the only ones who can build our way out of this. If the men begin to build, the women will follow, because this is what women do. The reason why a woman wants a 6-foot millionaire is because she wants someone who's big and has lots of resources. Because this eliminates lots of risk for her. When she's walking with him, she feels safe. Because she knows he's bigger than most men. When she wants to buy something, she doesn't have to worry about threatening the stability of her life. She can just acquire the thing she wants, because this is what women are doing. Women are pulling in. The woman receives, the man gives. Men are pushing out and producing. Women are pulling in and consuming. They're going to do it no matter what. It's a feature, not a bug. You're not going to cure them of gold digging. Women are supposed to be gold diggers. Because the men are supposed to supply the gold. Otherwise, why are men going to dig for gold? The women exist there to give the man a purpose to strive toward. Whatever position she's in, he's going to have to strive toward her, and that's what moves him. That's what pulls him off his ass. So if you're a low-value man, and you're single, and you want a woman, but you don't have anything to offer her, then you being alone and single is your responsibility. You have to change something about yourself. You have to become a high-value man on some domain. You either have to become really, really good at sweet-talking them and making them have a really fun time, making the rest of the world disappear. You have to be exciting.
I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah, Cooper's experienced. Northsea says, join a gym, take up a martial art, wear lifts in your shoes, lower your standards, then you'll find a girlfriend. Unironically, yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear lifts in your shoes because that just seems like you're projecting your own sense of inadequacy.
Yeah.
You have to LARP.
Yeah, we're stilts.
Boys become men by LARPing like them. This is literally just the way that life works.
LARPing is praxis, as I want to say.
Yes. Men are the Play-Doh fun factory, pushing out stuff. Yes, exactly. However, if you're not pushing it out productively, then it's actually just sucking life out of you. So stop masturbating. You got to hold that in. That's what's going to give you the ability to read minds.
Yeah, it's going to give you your cool psychic powers.
Yeah. You got to get all hopped up on the vril energy.
No more self-abuse. That's right, Ryan. That's right.
Mm-hmm. So what is it that you could do if you're starting out from a position like this? And then this could apply to you at all different levels of all different stages along the way. Because at every stage, you are lacking something that's going to take you to the next stage. And in order to find that, the proper way for a man is to have older men in his life. The older men reflect back the wisdom to the younger man. The younger man takes that wisdom and then contextualize it into his own environment, and then figures out how to make it work in his environment. And that's his wisdom. So wherever you are in these stages, there's something that you're deficient in that's preventing you from getting to that next stage. It might be knowledge, it might be understanding, it might be like physical capital resources. It might be a social network. These are all different aspects of your own human capital that you can begin building. And the thing about women is they are magnets to capital. It's a self-preservation strategy. Find the guy with the most capital because he's the one who's going to keep you the most safe.
Pinoid News, he says, ha ha ha, so listen to the boomers and Gen Xers who are all complete failures and destroyed society. Dude, I can't help you.
No.
Okay, so you don't want to listen to them, so who are you going to listen to? You're going to listen to, like, the Goonics? You're going to listen to right-wing Twitter pundits who blackbill? You know?
Most of whom are either single and or divorced and or gay.
Yep.
There's the world is suffering from a severe shortage of productive men who are not only taking responsibility for their own missteps, but they're taking responsibility for other people's missteps as well. There's a word for this. It's called business. This is what business is. If you're coming into a market, you've got a certain thing you're bringing to the market that you want to sell. Your responsibility is to find people who want to buy it. So you're looking for someone who has a deficiency. You can fill that deficiency for them. And you can charge for the right of doing that. You can look at yourself as a business. You're a business that's offering something. In each of your different interactions, you're offering friendship, companionship, moral support, physical labor, wisdom, whatever you're bringing to the table, you're offering something in return for something else. It's kind of weird to think about these sorts of things this transactionally, but if you want to break them down to their constituent parts to understand them, then, which is like, if you don't have that thing and you're trying to figure out how to get that thing, then break it down into its constituent components and see how they fit together. See if you can engineer how that thing works so that then you can begin using it to your advantage to get the thing that you want. So if the thing that you want is a woman, and you've identified women want these things, you are now at a crossroads. You can say, women want these things, and that makes them retarded, and I'm angry.
Yeah.
Or you can say, women want these things. All right, I've got my to-do list. Some men are born with more of these things than others. It turns out raging against equity isn't entirely consistent here. There's not going to be equitable distribution of attractiveness for among men, attractiveness to women. Some men are going to be born more attractive than others. That's what that actually might do is it might make them lazy. And they might be the one who gets caught lacking with a black swan event. So that's the burden that they're going to have to bear. If you're not born with the silver spoon in your mouth in attractiveness terms, then you've got to earn it. This isn't an injustice. This is quite literally saying the situation that you're in isn't hopeless. There's a way out. So you don't have to sit here and complain that things are the way they are. You can just make them be not that way.
Dead air, man.
Javier says, wait, you're not saying to get a woman and break her down to her component parts, are you? Well, not in the Dahmer sense, no.
Do you have a hacksaw?
Yeah, right. Someone says there's a surgery that breaks your bones to make you taller if you want. Again, this is another one of these things that I'm just like, you can do this thing to try to project confidence, but you're doing a thing that says I'm trying to project confidence because I don't have it.
Furthermore, I don't think that trait passes on to your children, so that's going to be awkward. But secondly, have you seen the guys who actually get their legs broken so that they're taller? Yeah, they are a couple inches taller, but then they look all goofy because now there's like a certain golden ratio to your body.
Yeah.
And you see these guys and now their arms look really short because they've got these goofy long legs and disproportionate arms. They look like, I don't know, like whatever the opposite of a monkey would be. Instead of long arms, they're like short. They've got like T-Rex arms.
Ethan Moore says, I need discipline and consistency. I just got to lift weights and lose some body fat. I can easily bump up in status to a 6 or a 7 in my mind. Yeah, man. Like, you control all of that. It's literally your solutions are in your control. It's not like you have to go out and find the solutions. You already have them. So you can start solving the problem for yourself. So we start getting the guys who are like, they start complaining about like the legal system. And I've got a lot of sympathy for him because typically a guy who has come to that position did so because he went through that situation. He had to deal with family court and divorce court. He had to go through that legal process, which, yes, absolutely is rigged against men and is designed to incentivize women to not just leave their man, but entrap him and make him weaker. Yes, that is the reality. So the only thing we can do about that, because, well, there are men clearly who it doesn't matter to them that family court is rigged against them. They don't care. They've got a happy, stable marriage. Wife has no reason to leave him. They're trying to provide an economic incentive, and he's given her a greater economic incentive to stay with him. So why would she leave? She's having fun. He's taking care of her. He takes her on dates. She's got kids. She's got a house to take care of. Kids go to soccer practice. Maybe she and her husband have a business they work on together. Like, she has no reason to leave. So if your concern is with the fact that the court is rigged against you, now, if you're a guy who's gone through that and you just don't want to put yourself out there again, I think you should, but I'm not gonna bust your balls on it.
Yeah.
Like, I understand. You're just like, I'm not signing up for that again. But if you've never even gone through it, and this is just a boogeyman that somebody has told you about, they didn't tell you about that for your own sake. They told you about that to make them feel better because they get to feel like an expert on something. They get to earn your admiration and attention. That's why they told you that. They're sucking your manhood away from you. These are the Gunics. So if you're afraid of the legal system and you've never even been with a woman, then the thing I would say to you as a brother is you've got to sack up, man.
Yeah, you're going to spend your life just being, fearful?
Right.
Come on, dude.
You're going to... You think women are so beneath you that you're going to spend the rest of your life in fear of them. And deprive yourself of the greatest things in life. Deprive yourself of fatherhood. Deprive yourself of the relationship that you can have with a woman. You're going to deprive yourself of all of that because you're afraid of the legal system? This is like the guy who just decides that he's going to work his 50 grand a year job for the rest of his life because he's too afraid to go out and start his own business because he might get sued. Oh, I might do something wrong and then someone would sue me and then, oh, that would be terrible. No, I'm just going to drive to the cubicle every day. It's the same mentality. This is not the mentality of men who build civilizations. Men who think and act this way don't deserve civilizations. Because the existence of a civilization is the evidence of the men who reject the thought that they wouldn't even entertain that mentality. They're focused on building shit. Like, we've got shit we need to build. There's an infrastructure crisis. There's a competency crisis. The threshold for a world catastrophic black swan event is like lower than it's ever been. We're very much at like the trip over a cord and land on the nuclear button kind of scenario, where it doesn't matter who like if the intern spills coffee on the button and it triggers the button and launches nukes and the world goes into a nuclear fireball. I know this isn't how it works. Shut up. If we're in a situation like that, then who gives a shit whose fault it was? Who cares? Like, we're not going to sit down and like Jewishly parse through all the numbers and weigh out in the balance. We've got the situation that we've got. And we have some rules we understand about human nature, which is that men lead and women follow. So if you've got a bunch of women who are all huddled around something over here that sucks, then go build something that doesn't. You could build that on a micro scale or you can build it on a macro scale. You probably got to start with the micro. Like if you're a flabby dude who doesn't know how to talk, who's really nervous, then start going to the gym and get a part-time sales gig knocking on doors. And go learn how to talk to people. Learn how to sell to someone. Because what doesn't come naturally to you. You don't naturally, innately know how to sell yourself to a person. This is something that people normally do.
Go to your local college bar and go talk to every girl there and get rejected by all of them.
Yes. You need to hear no way more often. Because hearing that no is going to be that's like the armor that you need to build up. Do a D&D reference here, Cooper. I don't speak that language.
You put me on the spot there. Come on. It's like getting some mithril chain armor on your rogue build. So now they have to roll a D19 instead of a D15. So you're in a pretty good position. You're hard to hit.
That's right. What he said. I endorse everything he said. You got to build up your character, man.
Yeah.
You got to build up your character. That's just there's a double meaning there. I think that double meaning is meaningful. This gives you something to aspire to. You could aspire to be like Buck Johnson, I just realized has joined me today.
Yeah.
Some people who are listening can be like, what? Where's Buck? Why isn't he saying anything? Should have just let it go. If you're watching us on YouTube, we do post the podcast on all your standard podcatching apps. So do go subscribe to us if that's how you prefer to consume your content. If you're going on to Apple Podcasts, the logo is going to be wrong, but the name is right, just King Pilled. And give us a 5-star rating and a review, if you would. So how to detox your gynocratic brainworms. So everything we've been describing here, these are the gynocratic brainworms. These are the way that men have been feminized is by teaching them to identify with their own resentments, which is a very feminine thing to do. I've said before, liberalism is resentment politicized.
Yeah.
It's a political philosophy hive mind of resentment. And all the different resentments compete for who has the biggest resentment.
Yeah,
Winning in that game is losing.
Every single one of the various liberal ideologies and all of its flavors, you know, you've got the commies have the bourgeois and the capitalists that are their boogeyman, and then you got the libertarians who say the state's their boogeyman, and now you got all these right-wing dudes. It's women, or it's the blacks, or it's the Jews, or it's guys. You're a lib.
Yes.
Stop being a lib.
There's a funny kind of funny parallel here where there's kind of a boomer joke, but it says that like every kid is like a lib in college, and they just get more and more conservative as they get older. And it's just kind of like with experience comes the natural, more conservative angle. And the Javier says King Pill is the ideological ivermectin. It's an anti-parasitic. That's right. I like that. Mm-hmm. We're prescribing anti-parasitics today. So you've got this hive mind, this parasitic hive mind of liberal resentment, and the angle that they're using to pull in young white men is by getting them to identify with their resentment toward insert enemy of choice. This is the way the liberal spirit morphs and adapts itself to a new host.
So what we're telling you is the dissident right is being infected by the very thing that you guys are against.
And it's getting you through women, which is, interestingly, like a cosmic pattern of reality. Mm-hmm. That man is subverted by woman. And it's equally a judgment of them both. It's a judgment on the woman for subverting the man, and it's a judgment on the man for allowing himself to be subverted by the woman. Because his responsibility is to hold the frame. He does hold the frame. The woman reacts off of the man. And if he doesn't hold that frame properly, if he lets it slip, she subverts him. She subverted him through his own shortcomings. And both are equally judged for it.
Yeah, man didn't fall when Eve ate of the fruit. It's when Adam did.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that.
The subversion of women is the subversion of men. Men have the responsibility of ensuring that women are not subverted. And the woman correspondingly has the same responsibility, because this is why she's like the debugger. This is why she's running through his code, the code in his program, looking for bugs. Because any of those bugs could be a potential threat. That's a chink in the castle wall where invaders could get through. So she's going to call your attention. You got to fix this. You got to fix this bug. And it's up to you to determine, number one, whether or not it is a bug, and then how to fix it if it is a bug. You could extrapolate this example out to the social level male and female relationships. Women collectively are looking for all of the bugs in the system. They're looking for the threat vectors. And right now, there's threat vectors all over the place. So this is why the women are losing their minds. They're going completely off their rocker because it's become like functionally impossible for them to ever feel safe or secure in any sort of environment. So their ability to evaluate like mates and everything is nil. They're just kind of stumbling into people. There's a whole bunch of different reasons why this is the case, but the fact is that it is the case. So the only way that this gets course corrected is by men taking responsibility for the situation and individually and collectively making themselves better men and actively building a new civilization. It can be adjacent to, intermingled with, or completely within the existing one. You can take all sorts of different strategies here. As your go-to-market you could try to do the internal subversion path, build something within that's going to outlast. You could try to build something completely parallel and bolted on. You could kind of hybridize the two. This would be done through business, through relationships, cross-investing, founding companies together, setting up supply chains, interconnecting one another, creating back-channel communications, all this sort of thing. This is how you have to build a new country within a fallen one. To some extent, we can use existing resources. To some extent, we'll need to bring our own, figure out how to generate capital together, use our networks to find contractors, employees, employers. We need to be building these kinds of communities cooperatively. And the success of the community depends collectively on the success of the individuals within the community. Because the higher the value of the individuals in the community, the higher the average value of the community itself. The more that the people within the community invest within themselves, the more they invest back into the community. So they grow the community with themselves. The community carries them up as they carry it up. I think this is a new model for the internet. Or at least a model that has massive productive potential. This is what we're trying to build we're starting with the what's at our disposal. This is the way of the King Pill Discord server. You can go to kingpill.com and join. We're trying to create a space where if you are like one of these guys, if you're feeling the nihilism, if you're feeling the yawning maw pulling you in, you're being encouraged to really start feeding into that resentment and getting yourself all rustled up and you need to take that energy and channel it into something productive. That's the life. That's you coming to life. And it's good. You need to come to life. It's better than you being dead and numb and empty. You need to come to life, but you need to come to life productively. You need to come to life and channel it into something. It's kind of like a tractor or something that's been sitting over the winter. It's got the drapes down over it. It's all dusty and everything. And you come in and you start it up and you got to crank it. It's like the collective spirit of man right now is just kind of like,
Needs some carburetor fluid.
Yeah. Got to get that bitch going. Got to work. We got shit to build. We don't have time for men to spend like wallowing around as little boys, crying because the women are meh. Daddy's not coming home. Daddy's not going to come home and fix it. You are daddy. You are the daddy who is going to fix it.
I like that.
This is the ordinary role of this is.
Call
this
me that
is
again.
Hey, Daddy.
Tune in next time to the Real King Pill show. My name is going to be Daddy instead of Buck Johnson.
Yeah. Well, this is so. How are you both Daddy and Grandpa Cooper at the same time?
I have children.
I guess every grandpa is a daddy.
Yeah.
King Pilled in a nutshell. Build. Yes. Yes. We need to build. Every single time I'm reading through the timeline or I'm listening in the voice chats, reading through as people are posting in the Discord, and everyone's talking about the newest horror of the day. Oh, look what they've done now. Oh, look, there's another one. Oh, here, look at this new thing that's happening. Look at all the crazy ways it could go bad. There's so much energy being put into that. And I'm like, okay, either it's kind of like the people who are buying real estate in Miami while they're also talking about climate change and how the oceans are going to rise 20 feet over the next decade. It's like, if this is really as big of an existential crisis as you seem to be treating it, then what are we doing to fix this? How are we going to make sure that this massive existential crisis doesn't envelop us and take us down? I think it's kind of over emotionalized. I mean, maybe it's maybe it is there is going to be some epic Mad Max collapse in the next 24 months, and well, okay. I mean, if that's the case, then why are you reading the news? Why aren't you building a fortress in the mountains somewhere? If you actually think that this is an existential crisis, then fuck, let's build. I don't think it's that urgent personally. But in a sense, I almost feel like I'm taking it more seriously than these people that are doomer posting about it. Because I'm like, man, we need to fucking build some shit. We need to get our networks together. We need to be starting developing projects together. Making sure basically we're on a ship that's going down and we need to start joining arms to hold ourselves up. There's so many tools available for us to cross connect and send funds and help each other out. We should be supporting each other and building each other up and helping each other out. We need the infrastructure for that. This isn't just make sure that if he gets canceled, I can stay in touch with him. No, it's build the civilizational infrastructure that could sustain some type of a collapse. Whatever that means to you. We can't all work together. Some of us can work together. There should be people who are working together building these communities all over the freaking country. You can create a little local network of nodes, and then those little networks can connect to other little networks. You get these nodes. You get the fractal scaling up. Fractals in the chat.
Fractals.
But this is the burden of men today. This is our cross to bear. We're the ones, if our civilization is to be built, it's going to be through us. We're going to be the only ones who can do this. As we start doing it, we could begin connecting our networks of communities that are building. You can build cities online now. We have to figure out what that even means. If I build a city online, what does it mean to have a legitimate legal online identity and maybe a separate geographical online identity? What sort of economic opportunities does this create? How are we going to realign ourselves with this sort of reality to ensure that we're not swimming upstream against it? And that we can protect and sustain our own communities to thrive through that. Rather than just getting swept up with the Borg. Because there's going to be a Borg. But I think that Borg is going to be built out of resentment. That's the thing that they will suck you in with. They will capitalize your resentment. They're turning it into capital. And chaining you to it. You have to buy yourself off of that chain of resentment and accept reality as it's been given to you, embrace it, and acknowledge that at every step along the way, you are the one who is at fault for where you are. You're the one who got yourself there. Other people might have contributed, sure, but you're the one who got yourself there. Then you're thinking like a patriarch. I think that's all I got.
Cool. I gotta get going to the kiddos soccer. Oh man, the kiddos soccer practice. That was hard.
Mm-hmm. See, you're building up your young man.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Attaboy. Thank you guys. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate all of you who stuck around from the Jim Bob invasion. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. You can follow me on Twitter at RealKingPilled and kingpilled.com. Sign up, join the Kingpilled Discord.
You can follow me at Buck Johnson.
Yeah. Buck Rebel on Twitter.
That's right, Buck Rebel.
You kept yourself in the dark just enough here, that you might be able to actually pass for him if someone was looking.